mathematical expressions. And what we're going to actually do with this lesson is we're going to break it down over a couple of days. And so first of all, in order for a radical to be in simplest form, the radicand must contain no factors that are nth powers of an integer or polynomial. Now that's probably not going to make a lot of sense right now, okay, but it might when we go through a few examples. So let's go ahead and start with this one. It says to simplify root 32 x to the 8th. So what we're basically going to do is we're going to split this into two parts. We're going to split it into the 32 and the x to the 8th. Now, you might not need to do this. You might be able to do this all in one, and that's fine and that's great. We're going to split this, though, down into two, make it a little bit more manageable. And so now when I'm talking about the square root, remember that it's implied to be a 2 on the inside there? But we don't ever write that, and you don't need to. Okay, I just wrote it there just so that we would remember that. And we're going to break 32 down. So you remember how we do this with the factor tree. What are two factors that go at 4 and 8? Good. 4 and 2. Okay. I could break the 4s down if I wanted, or I could have stopped because I had a pair of 4s. So now if you notice, we take things out by 2s because that's the exponent that's out here. So the 2, actually not the exponent, the index. Sorry, I said that wrong. And then the 2s. So how many do I take out? 4. What's left inside the square root? 2. So that is just from the root 32. Okay, we've already done that. That shouldn't be that hard. Now what we got to do is break down the square root of x to the 8th. So if you remember, what I do is I take my power and I divide it by this number, right? And what do you get? X to the 4th. So now what I need to do is combine those into one answer. So my one answer will be 4x to the 4th root 2. Now real quick, we have to check when we took the square root of x to the 8th. I had an even power here, and I had an even power here. What type of answer did I get? Even. So I don't need absolute value symbols. If that would have been odd, you would have needed those. So see, now they're going to tie everything kind of all in. So as I said, this kind of can get a little confusing. So we'll try and take this slow enough. So what I want you to do is do this one for me. Okay? I want you to try this one for me. Root 12 c to the 6th d cubed. So what did you get for root 12? Did you, 2 root 3, okay. What did you get for root c to the 6th? C cubed. Okay, real quick, let's look. What did I do? Even, odd. Gotta have the absolute values there. Now that d cubed, yeah. Did any of you work on that one? So let's think about that. What does d cubed mean? It means, doesn't it mean d, d, and d, right? That's what d cubed means. Okay, and so remember I could take pairs out when I've done this before. So I see I got a pair of d's, right? So I'm going to take a d outside the square root. What's going to be left inside? D. So now let's put all this together into one answer. What do I get into one answer? 2 root 3, the absolute value of c cubed times d, and then where does the d go? The root d. Inside the square root. So really, 2, the absolute value of c cubed d times root 3d. These are going to take a little work. It's not going to be one of those that, boom, you're going to be able to go to the answer. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look at another one. See how we do. Ooh, this one's getting a little interesting there. The fourth root of 16a to the 24th, b to the 13th. The fourth root. So I'm wanting to find the fourth root of 16, the fourth root of a to the 24th, and the fourth root of b to the 13th. Okay. What's the fourth root of 16? Very good. What's the fourth root of a to the 24th? A to the 6th. Good. Oh. Ick. Ideas? Okay, so now let's think about that. What is the smallest number, or not smallest number, what is the biggest number smaller than 13 that's divisible by 4? 12, right? 12 goes into 4 how many times? 3. So really, would you agree that I'm going to have a b cubed, right? Because that's 12. So I've taken out 12. How much is left for inside? 1. Okay. So now we have to combine that all in our answer, and we're good to go. So all you're going to do is you're going to find the smallest number, or not the small, the biggest number that's smaller than 13, okay, that's divisible by 4. So 2a to the 6th, b cubed, times the fourth root of b. Now once again, if these are still a little bit confusing, that's okay. All right, we're going to spend easily another day and maybe even Friday going over these. All right, let's try another one here. Okay, the cube root of 27, y to the 12th, z to the 7th. The cube root of 27, y to the 12th, z to the 7th. So once again, we're going to break this down. So what's the cube root of 27? Cube root of y to the 12th. Y to the 4th. Okay, so now we come up to the z to the 7th. It doesn't go in evenly. So what is the largest number that's just smaller than 7? 6. And that gives me z to what power? Squared. So how many are left inside? 1. Good. And that's your answer. Now the reason why we didn't do the even, odd thing is because this number was odd to start with. Okay, so the only time you ever have to worry about the absolute values is when that number is even. Okay, last few we're going to look at, and then we're going to call it good for today. We're going to look at some division here. All right, so we have the square root of x to the 6th over y to the 7th. So once again, we're going to break that down just as we did with multiplying. Okay, so remember, we've actually got a 2 out here. So what do you get on the top? X cubed. And what do we know about x cubed? Absolute value, because I went even, odd. Now on the bottom, what do you get on the bottom? Y cubed on the outside, good. Square root of y. Now one of the things about square roots, you're never supposed to have them in the denominator. So what we need to do is we need to rationalize this denominator, which means get rid of the square root. So the way we get rid of the square root is I need to somehow get rid of that root y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by root y over root y. Now on the top, I'm going to be left with the absolute value of x cubed times root y. On the bottom, what do you know root y times root y is? That's going to be, what's this going to be? 1y. Okay, now for those of you kind of a little bit skeptical, root y times root y is actually root y squared. Okay, and remember those two cancel. And so now I have y cubed times y, which is y to the 4th. Okay, I think that was a good intro, and that'll give us a great start tomorrow, so I'm actually going to call it good right there for today. What I need you to do, okay, is I need you to go ahead and start on page 419. So if you want to go ahead and turn there, and we'll look there together. 419, 18 through 25. Now, you're not going to be able to do 24 or 25, so actually let's change that to 18 through 23. Okay?
Just today.
So, this is just today. Now, tomorrow we're going to add on to that. But I think this will be a good start. These are kind of some in-depth problems. I want you to get a firm foundation before we move on.